Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And I'm sorry that I had forgotten to mention on Tuesday that we were going to meet yesterday. Beginning with chapter 13, verse 27. So the spies have been sent, and now they've returned from the land of Israel, and they address themselves to Moshe, but by extension, really everybody. And verse 27, Vaisapru lo vayomeru, the spies tell Moshe, Banu el haaretz asher shlachtanu, we came to the land to which you sent us. V'gam zavas chalavu dvash hi v'zeh pirya. And look, it's flowing with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. And, presumably the fruit looked very good. Verse 28, Ephes ki asa yoshev ba'aretz, but the nations dwelling in the land are strong. V'arim b'tzuros k'delos ma'od, and the cities are very much fortified. V'gam yulidehu anak ro'inu sham, there are giants around. Verse 29, Amalek yoshev beretz hanegev. By the way, Amalek's in the vicinity. V'achiti v'ayvusi v'emori yoshev bahar v'aknani yoshev al hayam v'yal yad hayarden. And all these other nations are around. Verse 30, Vayahas Kalev es ha'am el Moshe. Kalev silenced the nation towards Moshe. Vayomer alona lev yorashno. So we're going to go up and take this land. Kiachol nuchal la. We could do it. Verse 31, Vayotziu vo'anashim asher alu yimo emru lo nuchal la lo seloam. The men who went with him said, no, we're not able to do it. Ki chazak hu mimenu. The people are stronger than us. Then they go on to say that that land consumes its residents. Okay, so it's an interesting exercise to try to figure out, where do we throw the flag? At what point is this wrong, false, inappropriate? The pasuk that the land consumes its residents is certainly over the line. That's for sure. The statement that we're not going to be able to succeed there is certainly over the line. But what's interesting, and this is something we spoke about earlier in the week, Kalev already kind of interjects before they even got to those psukim. So the implication is there's something wrong with what they've said already. And by the way, it's worth noting, the first words out of their mouths were, the land is flowing with milk and honey. And look at the fruit. So let's start with Rashi. Rashi on Pasuk Chaf Zayin, Sovas Chalavu Dvash, it's flowing with milk and honey. Kol Dvar Sheker, She'ein Omrim Bo K'tzas Emes B'tchilaso, Ein Miskayim B'sofo. So Rashi is citing a medrash very, very strong. Anytime you lie, the only way the lie is going to work is if you have a smidgen of truth in the lie. So that's the perspective. They come off and they say the land is flowing with milk and honey. So freeze the frame. What do we say about that? Rashi says what we say about that is, even this praise is only with the intent that all the other bad stuff they're going to say, all the other falsehoods they're going to say, will be accepted. That's how Rashi views this praise of the land. Let's go to the Ramban. Ramban on Pasuk Chav Zayin. First of all, the Ramban says this is not verbal meandering from the spies. The Ramban says, part of Moshe's instructions to the spies were, see, is this land fat or thin? So the response is, it's fat. It has a lot to offer. And it's flowing with milk and honey. So regarding that question, that was their response. He asked, are there trees there? That was part of the question. Say shivu v'zeh pirya. They answered, yes, and here are the fruits. So this is also follow-up on his instructions that he wanted to see it. V'hine b'chol zeh amru emes. The Ramban says everything that they're saying in these first psukim is true. Ve'shivu al ma shenitzdavu. And they were giving responses for that which they were asked to explore. Vayalahem lomar v'ha'am hayoshev ba az ve'arim b'tzuros. They should have said the nation is strong. They should have said the cities are fortified, because Moshe asked about those things also. They should say truth. So whereas Rashi implies that basically after the first thing they said, everything else is downhill from there, the Ramban says they're doing great. There's one problem. There's one word in these first psukim, and that is the first word in verse 28, Efes. Shehi mora al dvar Efes v'nimna min ha'adam. Efes means like nothing. The Ramban says the meaning, the way we translated, we read the psukim is but. However, the meaning the Ramban says for Efes is we can't do this. She'i efshar bilshum inyan. This is not possible. So that's editorial. Their job wasn't to editorialize, and certainly not to editorialize in a negative way. Their job was to report the facts, and they did. But that word Efes is problematic. Skipping a couple lines. They told them all this great stuff. But it's all hopeless because of these factors. To mention the factors is their job. Remember, the Ramban is the one who said this is basic military preparation. But to say we can't do it, that's not their job. V'yomru od, and not even correct, because God is with them. V'yomru od Amalek yoshev be'eretz hanegev lirmos she'ein sham ruach lavo bo'eretz misham. So what they're saying is the reason why they say Amalek is in the south. If you remember, this, according to Ramban, was a very significant piece. Help us figure out which direction to come from. They're saying, don't come from the south. Ki kulam giborim, the Amalek is there, and they're strong. Ki Amalek badoram, v'aknanim, v'marav uvamizrach. Now look, if you look at the continuation of verse 29, it's talking about all these nations. So Ramban says what they're saying is, my gosh, the south is Amalek. In the east and west are the Knanim. V'emori bahar, in the mountain areas are the Amorim. Hikidu shlichusam. In this, they're doing their mission. Vayaniu lev ha'am beremes, mibnei moram shel Moshe ve'Aaron. So it's interesting. They were asked to give a report as to their military advice as to what direction to come from. So they come back and they say, well, we just want to let you know the facts. So besides that FS word, which we spoke about already, in the next verse 29, they say, we just want to let you know the facts. Amalek is in the south, and the Canaanim are in the east and west, and Amori is in the Har. Now, the in between the lines of that is, and that's why we told you in the previous pasuk FS. That's why it's hopeless. Look around. But on paper, that's not what they were saying. On paper, they were just giving the facts. The reason they didn't say it stronger is because they were afraid of Moshe and Aaron, because they knew this wasn't what they were supposed to be saying. V'hine, hey shiva mashitzivos Moshe, sulasi mash amar lohem hama'at hu imrav. It's very interesting. The Ramban says if you go down the list of what Moshe asked them, they answered every question except for, are the people there small or small in number or many? They didn't answer. V'chein lo iskiru tuva, ki abadatam lomer lo am achar kach eretz ocheles yoshveahi b'derech tiba v'nei ama mu'atim v'chazakim ma'od. So what they didn't officially yet talk about the goodness of the land. They talked about the produce of the land, but where they were going with it is where we ultimately get to later, which is in verse 32, that the land consumes its residents, which answers two questions, which answers the quality of the land in general, which they're saying the fruit is good, but there's something about the land that's not safe. And it also implies the answer, there's not many people, but you know why there's not many people? Because the land kills these people. The people understood their intent. And that's when the people, if you look, it's at the beginning of chapter 14, that's when the people began to complain and moan and cry, etc., because this is a disaster. On paper, they didn't say much negative. There was that word here, a word there. But thanks to that word or two, everything else is understood differently. V'zetam vayas Kalev. That's what's going on when Kalev silences them in verse 30. Remember, we asked, what's Kalev silencing them for? They just gave some facts. Kishite osam. He silenced them. V'omar alon na'alev yarashnu osa ki yachol nuchala. We can do it. Lemor emes husham chazak. I'm not arguing that the people aren't strong. They are strong. Aval anachnu nechazak mehem, but we'll be stronger. Umeorehem. Habatsuros will be stronger than the people and will overcome their fortified cities. Not arguing on the facts, just arguing on the tone. Kain Amar La. We can do it. Os anu amaraglim ufirshu tivrayim. V'yamru lo nuchal alo salam ki chazakhu mimenu. Then the spies respond. They said, we're not going to be able to overtake these people. They're stronger than us. Lamor. Afilu la'am im yetze elenu basada lo nuchal aleim lilachim sham. Av ki nichbosh be'am arim betzuros gedolos ma'od. A very interesting technical point. Kalev is talking about it, meaning like the land, the cities, and the spies then respond, oh no, we're not going to be able to do it. And the spies are talking about the nation. So the Ramban explains that not only do they not think that they can successfully conquer the land, they're saying even if the nation came out to us and left their fortified cities. Notice we said two things just now. They're strong and their cities are fortified. They're saying even forget the fortified cities. All the fortifications are down. Then they come out to fight with us in the fields, we'd still lose because they're so much stronger than us. So that, according to the Ramban, is the sort of technical nuance in the negativity of what the spies say and how Kalev very much tries to counter them. Let's at least read the next pasuk, chapter 14, verse 9. Chapter 14, verse 9. And Kalev is Kalev and Yeshua at this point are pushing back against the spies, and they say that we can do this. And in verse 9 they say, "Ach b'Hashem al timrodu." Don't rebel against God. We'll have to understand tomorrow what's the rebellion here exactly. Talk about that tomorrow, God willing.